following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another fun episode of Tier Tuesdays here on the HighLowSports podcast, where we like to jump in and take something from the world of sports, and we like to put them into tiers because rankings just aren't quite the same as they used to be, so we like to mix them up a little bit. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-hosts Kelsey and Kelsey. We have had the Hall of Fame game. We have some new inductions into the Hall of Fame, so you know what? We're going to have a little bit of fun with this class as well, too. But unlike our other tiers, there will be zero true disrespect thrown around because they are all Hall of Fame players.
Absolutely. They are all Hall of Famers. Some of them maybe more of a Hall of Fame career than others. We'll talk about that probably a little bit later. But look, they are all Hall of Famers. Congratulations to every single one of these guys getting inducted this year. Some of them took a little longer than expected. Some of them, well, I guess, right on time.
Absolutely. And you know what? We're not going to waste any time. We're going to take a look right at the tiers now. We have a short list this time, so we only have a handful of tiers to go through. We're going to go and just jump right into it, waste no time. I'm going to take this first one. We got the first ever offensive lineman, according to one mismade graphic that is always trending on Twitter, is the first offensive lineman ever, Joe Thomas. More than 10,000 consecutive snaps played as well. That perennial All-Pro. If you saw him play, you knew. That's all there was. He gets his own tier. Wished he would have followed Peyton Manning's advice at the very top. For those of you who don't know, in Peyton Manning's last season, I believe it was, he wanted to play with Joe Thomas, so he told Joe Thomas to get yourself traded, go in there and take a dump on your GM's desk. No, I mean literally go in there, pull down your pants, and take a number 2 on his desk to get himself traded to Denver. So, you know, Joe Thomas gets his very own category. Should have followed Peyton Manning's advice so we could at least have gotten one postseason snap out of him, because one of the best offensive linemen of all time, unfortunately, never got to play in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe Thomas is what could have been if he was on a good team. I love the story from Peyton Manning, by the way. And the sad part about it is he probably could have still taken the dump on the owner's desk, and it still would have been like, man, you are really taking this whole Browns thing to heart, man. Like he would have become even more of a Cleveland Colt hero if he's already a Colt hero here. And really, I mean, I don't even know Colt hero is fair. He's a legitimate hero here. And look, it's well deserved for Joe Thomas. I think when you talk about stand-up offensive linemen, how good they could be, every current offensive lineman is compared in some way, shape, or form to what Joe Thomas was able to do at left tackle. So I do think that's a lot of why he is so great and so fondly remembered. Is he was the perfect prototype for what came after, and especially for that turn. He was in the turn for the modern era, from what was a really run heavy game to air it out and hope your left tackle can protect you. And Joe Thomas did just that.
Absolutely. A ridiculous amount of quarterbacks, but they always knew that left side tackle spot was about as safe as it gets. Everywhere else, you might still get hit, especially if you didn't get the ball. But you knew that spot was going to be safe for you, no matter who's playing quarterback for him. But that's going to take us now to the second on the list, his fellow 2007 draft teammate and owner of an island at multiple points in his career. We got Darrelle Revis. So, Kelsey, I'll let you go and take, where are we going to put Revis Island?
I got to say best season ever for Darrelle Revis. And this is no slight to Revis. Obviously, we just talked about it. He is a Hall of Famer. Let's not kid ourselves. But I do think personally, when it comes to Darrelle Revis, had it not been for his 2009 season, it's a lot more questionable how early he gets inducted to me. I think there's a lot more question marks because it's just the longevity situation there. It wasn't as long and as successful as a lot of other corners in the league. But oh my God, 2009. Single-handedly might have been the greatest of all time for all corners. I mean, realistically, probably one of the more fantastic seasons that you've ever seen. But, you know, I know I'm harsh on a lot of players, but I feel like Darrelle Revis is one of those guys where I look at him, I'm like, man, if it wasn't for 2009, you just pulled out one season out. I'm maybe not seeing you in a gold jacket just yet, but at the same time, probably eventually getting in there nonetheless. Because look, great all-around corner. And again, talk about he was in that switch as well. He kind of reaped the benefits of those new aired-out offenses. And dummies not knowing how to not go towards Darrelle Revis and Revis Island at some point in times in his career. So, I'm going to go Darrelle Revis, best season of all time.
So even on that one, too, he followed that number one receiver, whether it's Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson, Chad Johnson, Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss. He followed all of them, too. It wasn't just, I'll sit over here. And he was tied for the league lead in picks with about 6, I believe it was that year, too. So that was the year he even got some picks on top of it.
Yeah, and somehow didn't win Defensive Player of the Year that year. That still bothers me.
That, honestly, We agree on that. We could spend literally 45 minutes going over that, but we're going to go ahead and move past that. Should have been defense player of the year, arguably one of the best defensive seasons of all time, let alone best corner seasons of all time. So,
Yeah.
but that season alone got him in there. The rest of his career was icing on the cake and made sure it was first ballot, it feels like, as well. So, moving on now, we got Don Coryell, the co-founder, the only founder of the Air Coryell offense with the old school Chargers. We talked about kind of changing the passing game. You could put Don Coryell as kind of towards the head of that. For that alone, we're going to put him in no doubt. Helped revolutionize the game, one of the best coaches of all time. Unfortunately, never quite got that Super Bowl, anything like that. Unfortunately, playing that area, you weren't quite able to get it. But what he did for the modern day passing offense before was cool. Don Coryell, I'm going to put him in no doubt. You could have put him in about damn time, but I think no doubt's a pretty good spot for him.
I absolutely agree. No doubt is perfectly fitting. What he was able to do as kind of a founder of a new style of offense is it's been fantastic. Changes it. You still see those effects in the game today, and that's anybody who does something like that, they have to be in the Hall of Fame to me. I feel like that's just like a guy, you literally changed the game of football or changed a style of play, and you still see it today. Like, okay, yeah, you're a Hall of Famer, no doubt, no doubt in my mind. Type of conversation.
Absolutely. And next we're going to go to someone who right now is showing the jersey when he was with Denver and was able to win that elusive Super Bowl, but he made his biggest name for the Dallas Cowboys on your hat. So Kelsey, where are you putting your boy DeMarcus Ware?
I wish this man had been able to get to a Super Bowl. First foremost, let me phrase it. This man had been able to get a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. Should say. This man is a no doubter to me. If you don't know about DeMarcus Ware, he came out of Troy. He was from Auburn, Alabama, the home of Auburn University, had 0 offers from anybody other than a Sun Belt team named Troy at the time. Troy State, actually, to be more specific. He is the most prominent player to ever come out of Troy. And, by the way, sang the national anthem at the Hall of Fame induction as well. And, look, in between, there just happened to be, 4-time first-team All-Pros, 3 second-team All-Pros, 9 Pro Bowls, 2-time sack leader, all-decade team in the 2000s, 2-time Butkus Award winner. It's just, no big deal or anything. 138.5 sacks in his career. Just small little minute things. And let's not forget, he might have revolutionized what is the outside rush linebacker we see today. He was really one of those in-between guys, defensive end, outside linebacker. What he was able to do in those defenses really kind of made it okay for a lot of new guys. We'd seen a couple here and there in the past. But he really, I feel like, led the way of the new era of those tweener outside linebackers / defensive end rushers. So I'm going to go, no doubt in my mind, DeMarcus Ware here.
Absolutely. He was absolutely incredible in his heyday. Now we're going to move on next to another former Cowboy. We got Chuck Howley, and year of eligibility, number 45. That alone, we're going to put it at about damn time. This guy had an underratedly good career. I know it was before a lot of us were born twice over, but just a quick rundown: 5-time first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Pro, Cowboys Ring of Honor, and best of all, the first defensive player and first non-quarterback to win the Super Bowl MVP. But even better than that, he is the only player from a losing team to be named MVP of the Super Bowl because he had such an outstanding game in what was known as the Blunder Bowl. But he alone stood out in that one. So even though his team lost, there was no doubt. There was no doubt. So for me, it's about damn time. He probably should have been here quite a while ago.
Yeah, I think there's not a single doubt that he deserves a Hall of Fame ring, and you're exactly right. Maybe probably should have been there a couple years earlier, quite a few years earlier. But you know what? It is what it is.
100%. So next we're going to go to Rondé Barber, not to be confused with Tiki Barber if anyone thinks he looks familiar, but we got Rondé Barber, the corner from the Tampa Bay. So Kelsey, where are you going to stick Rondé?
I'm going to go, I'm going to go if you know. And I maybe this is sliding him a little bit. I don't know. I think he was fantastic, first of all. I thought he was a fantastic corner. Super Bowl champion with the Bucs. Literally only played on one team in his career. Not very many players can say that nowadays. 3-time All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, NFL interceptions co-leader in 2021, part of the All-Decade team in the 2000s, Tampa Bay Buccaneers Ring of Honor. But, he didn't have, he wasn't a jump-off-the-screen type of a guy. Let's be honest. He very much was a drop into coverage. He's going to read. He's going to react, and that's how he's going to play the ball. I only ended his career with 15 forced fumbles, 47 interceptions, But here's the impressive part: 197 pass deflections. I don't know if you guys know how hard it is to get a pass deflection counted. It's really hard. Go try it on Madden, and you're going to learn real fast. It's even easier on Madden than it is in real life to get a pass deflection counted for your stats. So, going to be one of those things, Rondé Barber. If you know, you know. I think he probably could have been higher, but I don't think he's a no doubter. And it's obviously he did not have the best season of all time in all corners. So this is going to be an if you know, you know.
I think that's a really good spot for him too. And if you know, you know, it basically means if you've seen him play, he's a Hall of Famer too. So if anyone thinks that's a slight, by no means whatsoever. So
yeah,
it's going to take us to a member of the New York Sack Exchange. We got Joe Klecko, selected 144th overall in 1977 by the New York Jets. I'm going to put him in the same spot as if you know, you know. Not necessarily a huge name, but he was named Defensive Player of the Year in 1981, led the league with 20 and a half sacks. 20 and a half. First team All-Pro twice, 4 Pro Bowlers. The second player in NFL history to be selected to the Pro Bowl at 3 different positions. A very, very good Hall of Fame career. Maybe not as well known. He had kind of those extreme splash seasons. Really, really good. Maybe not Lawrence Taylor, but if he's a Hall of Fame player, no doubt. And on top of that, his son caught a touchdown in the AFC Championship game in 2006. So that alone gets you up there. So if you know, you know. Klecko, 100% Hall of Famer. You've seen him, you know. You just know.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is, again, just a situation where you well deserving. Finally, really could have been about damn time in a lot of ways as well. But yeah, if you know, you know, seems pretty fitting for him. And love the ovation he got at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. That was absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. So now it's going to take us to the next one. It's going to be one of your guys, Zach Thomas, middle linebacker for the Dolphins. So where are we going to put Zach Thomas listed at all of 5'11"? So a real outlier back in his day when linebackers were considered 6'4" or 6'4" or less, or 6'4" or more.
Yeah. Let's also not forget he was a Cowboy for a season with DeMarcus Ware. Fun fact for you as well. Yeah. I mean, everybody else would forget about that. I loved it. For me, that was a fantastic looking defense on paper. But no, I think Zach Thomas, you're exactly right. Kind of revolutionized as a shorter linebacker what you could do from that linebacker position, that inside linebacker position. 1,700 career sacks, 20 and a half sacks, or 1,700 career tackles, sorry. 20 and a half sacks. Yeah, no, that would have been a wow level of sacks. 17 interceptions, 16 forced fumbles, 4 touchdowns on 8 fumble recoveries. He was a stud. I mean, realistically, he's a stud. He's a 2-time NFL Alumni Linebacker of the Year, which is not an easy award to win. Actually, I don't even think they give it away anymore. It was so difficult for them to find enough linebackers to actually win that award. 2-time NFL tackles leader in his career. Again, another guy who was an all-decade team. Part of the Dolphins honor roll. And if you know anything about the Dolphins, there's a history of Dolphins defensive players in that honor roll, especially, around the 80s and 70s. So for me, I'm going to go Zach Thomas is probably going to be a no-doubter for me, but I think you also have to put him if you know, because a lot of people didn't watch the Dolphins in the 90s and 2000s. So I'm going to say if you know, you know.
Yeah, that seems like a fair spot too. Outstanding player as well. And if you saw him play, you knew you were watching a Hall of Fame level player. So I think definitely, even though his stats are really good, they might not. He didn't rewrite record books, but if you saw him play, that's a Hall of Fame player. There's no doubt about that. So that's going to
he rewrote Texas Tech's record books, by the way, back in college. But that's the only time he rewrote some record books.
That is fair. And that's going to take us now to the last, but certainly not least member of our list. We got Ken Riley, cornerback for the Bengals, selected in the 6th round, played for 15 years, over 3 decades, 65 career interceptions, All-Pro in 1983, AP All-AFC in 75 and 76. Nicknames such as the Rattler, Mr. Bengal, and Mr. Consistency. We got Ken Riley after 35 years of eligibility. I don't think there's any doubt this one's going into about damn time. Deserved it for a very long time. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to be there for it as he passed away a few years ago, but absolutely deserved it. A model football player, real gentleman, as who's described by Coach Bob Brown. Ranks 5th on the NFL's career interceptions list still. Led the Bengals interceptions 7 different times. AFC interception title multiple times as well. And he also had kick return value as well, too. Written all over the Cincinnati record books throughout his career. So for me, Ken Riley, about damn time. Probably could have got in there even a little bit earlier. So, but glad to see he finally is getting that bust and can.
I think this is exactly why they have this extended time period that you can vote somebody in. Ken Riley is a perfect example of somebody that is deserving of it 20 years ago, deserving of it 10 years ago, deserving of it now. This is absolutely, get him in. At this point in time, you start to see the Hall of Fame voters seem to realize a lot of the old past mistakes, and they're making up for it now. Ken Riley was one of those mistakes that just slipped through, and I'm glad they made up for it. He's well deserving, and tack another one onto the Bengals Hall of Fame, if you will. Bengals members in the Hall of Fame, and should have been in there from the start. But hey, Ken Riley is finally there. His family got to enjoy that moment in honor of him as well. So that was really cool.
Absolutely. Better late than never, I guess. But that is going to do it here for our 2023 NFL Hall of Fame tier maker list as well. Let us know what you think, what we got right down below, what we got wrong. If we think maybe we should add some more tier variety, but I think this one I feel pretty good about. I think we got all these knocked out of the park pretty comfortably. Not a whole lot of people other than Joe Thomas on this list were getting specific advice for Peyton Manning to take a dump on their GM's desk. So I think Joe Thomas is pretty locked in. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of Tier Tuesday. We appreciate you guys joining us. Be sure to check out the live cast on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, or on any of your favorite places to listen to podcasts afterwards. Feel free to give us a like and a subscribe to our YouTube page. It helps us out a lot, and it's free. It doesn't cost you a thing, and you can unsubscribe at any time. So appreciate you guys joining us. We will see you all again next week.